Hello, guys. My name is Elikplim Sabblah. I'm a data analyst, data visualization analyst, and a data storyteller. I love to visualize data, and I like to also write stories or tell stories with data. My session is entitled Data Visualization with R for Project Management. You are welcome to my session, and you are welcome to this year's Africa Data Skills Conference, or ADSE 21. Now, I've had the privilege of working on a number of projects over the course of my career, and I've realized the importance of data visualization and data analysis in achieving the targets set for projects or in project management. And that is why I felt the need to actually lead this session. And I hope that those of us who are into project management and to anything related to projects would see it useful or will find a need for data visualization and data analysis, especially in reporting. You see, in project management, you will need data analysis and visualization, sometimes even before the project begins, because you may have to go and gather data concerning the project that you're about to embark from. And you have to find a way to analyze the data and then visualize it and communicate it to the team. Or even sometimes even in proposal writing, you need data visualization and data analysis. And as the project is ongoing, sometimes the project itself gathers data, or you may require data from other sources to be able to achieve project goals. So, and then even at the end of the project, you would have to write a report and send it back to the donor or the grantor or the person you're in partnership with or the organization you're partnering with. And you would need to be able to tell them what happened in the course of the project, the data that was gathered and how you were able to achieve your targets or how you weren't able to achieve them. All of these things require data analysis and visualization. So that is the reason why I thought it was very needful for such a session to be had on this year's Africa Data Skills Conference. So let's zoom right into it. First of all, we'll be using R, and R is a statistical programming language. It is very powerful. It's widely used all over the world. And I believe that it is a very important tool in our time, especially for those of us who want to go into data science and data analysis. So we'll be using R. And so I'd like to share my screen to help you, those of you who already have R installed on your PCs, to find R and know how to download it and install it. We may not be able to go into it because we do not have the time at the moment, but at least I'd like to guide you a bit. So if you would allow me, I'd like to share my screen. And so first of all, you need to go to plan.r-project.org, or just type R or downloading R for free, or R free download. And then it will bring you to this website, and then you download it, you click this button, and then you download the R. Now with the R, you need an interface, or you need R Studio to be able to run it or to do the exact same things I'm doing. So you can also just Google R Studio free download, and that will bring you to R Studio's website. Or you can just go to rstudio.com and download the R Studio. So after you have these two, we'll be using specifically R Studio, and that is what I'll be using. So I hope that those of us who don't have R already would actually go ahead and then download it. Now, first of all, as I said, my session is data visualization with R for project management. So let's start with a bit of definition of terms. So let's define what project management is. According to the apm.org.uk website, project management is the application of processes, methods, skills, knowledge, and experience to achieve specific project objectives according to the project acceptance criteria within agreed parameters. Right. So project management is basically how you can apply knowledge, skills, and even lay down procedures and processes to achieve the targets of a project. Usually organizations put out, some organizations put out RFPs to invite proposals for projects, and they have specific criteria which you have to follow to achieve the targets that they want. And so this is project management is your ability to employ your skills and your knowledge and your experience and the resources at your disposal to be able to achieve this target. And one of the resources or the skills that I do have is data visualization or data analysis. And that is what I have employed in some of the projects I've worked on. And so that is why I think, or I thought, to take you through um, data visualization with R for project management. So next up, we'll be going straight to the R Studio. If you already have it on your on your PC, then you can just open it. But if you don't, then you could download it, or I'm going right into it. So even if you are not able to download, you can just follow and then later on download it and do as I do, or do the things that if you can remember them, that is right. So let me share my screen once again. There we go. All right, so this is our studio. And I know it's a whole lot for newcomers. For anybody who's using this for the first time, it's probably so much going on the screen. But I promise you, as time goes on, you become so familiar with it, and you know that you probably don't even need every single feature that is available here in the moment. I mean, there'll be a time that you may need it, but as a newcomer or as a first timer, you probably don't need it. So you don't have to stress about it at all. Now, for the purposes of this session, I just need you to remember a few things. Let me open a new file. So this is where we'll be working, and this portion of the screen or of our studio is called the editor, and this portion, the left corner, corner is referred to as the console, and this side has a combination of the environment, history, and connections. So environment is where we are at the moment. When you go to history, you will see every single code you've ever written. It stores it all here. It's relevant, it's saved, connections, and tutorial. So let's go back to environment. And then the bottom right corner has files. And when you do the visualization, this is where it appears first. Bots, packages. I'll explain the packages system as we go on. Help, viewer, all of these things. But for the purposes of this session, we may not need all of these features. So we'll just make use of what we would actually be using today. Now, in data analysis or visualization basically data science with R, there is a package. Now, the packages are like, let's say if you use a mobile phone, they're like applications, right? So, you know, every application has a use and its purpose. You understand the point I'm making? It has a specific function. So when it comes to R2, they call them packages or libraries. And these things have specific functions. So usually what I do tell people is that if there's something you don't know how to do with R, there's probably a package for it. So you go ahead and then you Google it and search and see if you will find it. So there are so many packages, thousands, tens of thousands of packages of R. And the ones that are very necessary or very useful when it comes to data analysis and visualization and data science have been put together in a sort of an umbrella package, right? Or a mother package called Tidyverse. And there's like a universe on its own. It has so many packages under it. So usually when I come to R, the first thing I ever do is to open the Tidyverse package. Now, if you don't have Tidyverse already uploaded or downloaded on your R Studio, this is how to go about it. And this is how you actually install all our packages, right? You type install, you see, I mean, the system already picks it up for you. So you just install.packages. That's what we are looking for. Just press enter. And then in the brackets, you use apostrophe and you type tidyverse. And with this, you run this, right, by clicking run or pressing Control and enter. That is how you run things from the editor. Anything you run in the editor appears in the console. When you run it here, it appears here. So you run it in the editor and then it starts downloading for you. I already have downloaded Tidyverse, so I don't need to redo it. So what I'll do is that I will just call it into action, or open it. And the way you open it is to type library, it finishes for you, and then Tidyverse. Right. Now, this is how you open Tidyverse. It's just like how you open an app on your phone. If your Facebook app is not open on your phone, you cannot go onto Facebook. So basically, if you haven't opened or if you haven't called Tidyverse into action, you can't do Tidyverse related stuff. So basically, that is the point I'm making. And let's run this. So when you run the control enter, you see what I mean? And you see that there will be a list of packages. So you have ggplot2, we have pair, we have deployer, we have stringler. All of these are packages under tidyverse. So that is why it is very necessary for us to always load tidyverse, or according to me. Right. Now, let's take a look at the data that we will be using for today's analysis. Right. Now, let me first share that data with you guys. There you go. I need to go to my desktop. I named it ADSC. I named it after the conference. ADSC. Yeah, there we go. Opening, there it is. Right. So this is data. So let's assume we are running a project. So we are a project management team, right? And we have finished the first year of a digital skills training program, which was done in Ghana in 2020. And we train people in the Eastern region, Greater Accra region, and Ashanti region. And we train them in skills such as data science, social media management, graphic designing, and web designing. And we train them in January, May, and September. Okay. And we had a certain number of trainees for each session in each month, in each region. And we scheduled to do the programs. So, I mean, here it is. We have this is the column for the month, the column for the number of trainees. This is the column for the scheduled date. So we scheduled to train people in January in the Eastern region on the on data science on 11th of January. But in actual fact, we ended up doing it on the 22nd. So this is the meaning of the scheduled date and then the delayed date. The day that we scheduled to do it, and then the day that we actually did it. So it's delayed, right? Now, if you've ever run or worked on a project, you know that sometimes you set dates to achieve certain targets, but because of some events beyond your control, and sometimes actually due to your ability, your input or inabilities, it so happens that some of the targets are delayed. So when it is delayed like this, I just want us to find a fine way or a very beautiful way to visualize the data and maybe share it as a report or share it with our like just analyze it and be able to share it even with our team. So that is what I'm looking at, right? And so that's the delay data, and these are the data scales, and these are the regions. So this is the data we'll be using. And let's go back to our studio. So I'm going to show you how to import data sets into our studio. First of all, you come to the environment and you see import data sets, and you click on it, and then you come down to from Excel, because it's an Excel data, right? So click on Excel, and then we click on browse. Give me a second. Click on browse, and then it takes you to your PC. So you can go to your desktop. Anyway, it's a very small data, but I mean, it's just for the purpose of this session. ADSC. So then it gives you a preview in this particular window. You see it as it is, and we make sure that everything is here and intact, right? And then you click import. So there it is. Our data is here. Use it. This is our data, right? And so we have month, trainees, schedule dates, delay dates, digital skills, regions. Now, I mean, this is a very small data set, right? So I wouldn't, I'm not trying to I don't know, like, usually if it's a big data set, you may not understand it right away. So you'd have to do a bit of exploratory data analysis. Now that's a field on its own. I won't go into that, but sometimes I just like to have a cursory glance of the data. I want to understand what is going on. So I'm going to teach you how to at least a few functions or things that you can write that could actually let you look at the data and just have a good understanding of it. Okay, so first of all, you can type head, and the head function gives you the fixed rows of the data. Now, it may not be important in this particular data set, but imagine you are dealing with a data that had data set that had, let's say, about 10,000 rows, right? Sometimes you're about to analyze it, but you haven't really had a view or understand what is going on. You haven't even seen the columns yet. So when you type in head, it gives you the the first 6 rows. So when you type in head and then the parentheses open, you type ADSC and then 21, and then you remember how to run, right? From the editor, Control Enter, and then yes, there you go. So you have your first 6 rows, right? The first 6 rows of the data. And as I said, when anything you run from the editor, it appears in the console. Right. Now, secondly, sometimes you have seen the head, you have seen the first 6 rows, you may want to see the bottom 6 rows. So then you type tail, right? ADSC21, 1. When you run this Control Enter, you see the bottom 6 also. I mean, it's quite a cool way of seeing it. Now, there's a function in deployer. Deployer is one of the packages under tidyverse called glimpse. Now, glimpse is such a, let's just type ADSC. So you type glimpse into brackets 8 ADSC 21, which is the data set I'm dealing with. Control Enter. Now, glimpse also gives you a very good view of the data. So you can actually see, but it arranges it in a row format. So it tells you that the data has 12 rows and 6 columns. I mean, if it was a 10,000 row data, it would have told us 6 columns. So the first row, you see month, January, May, you know. So it gives you just like, so you can just look at the data and appreciate it and know what is going on in how do you call it? Each column, right? There's also a base R function for aggregation. So sometimes you may want to look at the data in such a way that you'll be able to understand or even create another data set out of it. I mean, I'll explain. So you're aggregating the data. So you can see that the data is spread across. So let's take, for example, data. So to clear things in the, let me say this as well. To clear things, anything you type in the console, remember the console is this one. You press Control and L. So Control L wipes out everything here. So Control L swipe down. But anything you write, it can be kept as a note or let's say as a file on its own. So eventually this will become like the file or the script you've written. You can save it. So that's why the editor is quite important. You know, it's important for you to write the code in the editor and so that you can save it, right? Now, we are going to use the aggregate function. It is a very powerful function because it helps summarize certain aspects or certain roles, and then in such a way that it summarizes it and you can understand it, you know. So, or even if that's that's analysis you want to run. So let me just do it and so they can have a very good understanding of what I'm talking about. So let's look at the data. Our data is ADSC, so ADSC is 1. And when you run it in the console, you just need an enter to run it. Okay, in the editor, you need Control and Enter, right? So we want to see a combination of, let's say, how many participants or how many trainees were trained per region, right? Because as it is, we don't have the sum of all the trainees or the participants of the training per region in the actual data set. All we have is month, trainees, schedule dates, delay dates, digital skills, and the regions. But I want to know 4 trainees were done in Eastern region. I want to have a sum of all the participants, the number. So this is how you go about it in R. So you type aggregate, right? And then the dialog, the bracket opens for you. And then from aggregate, what do you want to see? You want to see number of trainees. So in this case, you want to see trainees. And then use the tilde symbol. The tilde symbol, now when you look on your keyboard, there's a button before the 1 button, right? Just under escape button, the escape button. So when you press shift and press that button, it gives you tilde, right? So tilde, then so what we want to see is trainees, regions. So regions. Then the data sets. Our data sets are ADSC 1. And what do we want to see? We want to see that the number of trainees per region in this data set, right, is summed. So I want to see every or the number of trainees per region, total number of trainees per region. So read this line as aggregate number of trainees per region in ADSC 21 data set by summing them. So we write sum, SUM, and then let's run this. So there you go. So you see, we have a summation, or we have an aggregation of the data set, and this creates even a new data set for you that you can also visualize. But that's not even our focus today. So we can also visualize this particular data set. So in Ashanti region, we train 58 people. In Eastern region, we train 55 people. In Greater Accra, we train 57 people. So you know which region we train the most people. So, and also you can use all manner of any kind of measure of central tendency. The measures of central tendency in the statistics: mean, median, mode, and those things. So we use sum here. So let's use mean to find the average, so that it will give us the average number of trainees per region. So when you run this, control enter, you see you have the averages. And then also, what if we want to find the number of trainees per course, per digital skill? So I can copy digital skills here and replace regions with it, and replace it with regions with digital skill. And that will also give us a very good, the same aggregation for digital skills. So let's write sum. When we run this, so you see that if I ask you the question, how many people or which digital skill did we train the most people in? This is the kind of code you write to get the answer. Because when you look at this mini tape, or the results you got here, you can tell that a lot of people wanted to learn, or we train a lot of people in graphic designing, and then the least number of people, or the smallest number of people, 40, which is 40, went into data science and social media. Then the smallest is 34, which is web design. So you see, this is a way of manipulating and transforming data to actually, and aggregating stuff just to give you the answers you need. So we are literally analyzing the data as well. So I use the aggregate function a lot, and I find it very, very useful. And one last thing I'd like to teach you before I go on to the visualization is, if you want to also further, sometimes you want to even do more analysis, just a simple function to help you do analysis is the summary function. So you type in summary, not summary, but summary, right? Enter, and then you write the ADSC 21. 21. Yeah, and when you run it, summary function is one of my favorite functions in R, because it summarizes every column, and the way it summarizes it, it just gives you a breakdown. So in this particular data set, our trainees, the number of trainees that's the column we are most interested in, right? And so what summary does is that just by writing summary, no matter how long the data is, no matter the number of rows, it will just summarize it for you, or give you a summary. Like, it gives you the least, which is the minimum number, which is 10, and it gives you the first quartile, those who are into statistics, 11.75, which is give you the median, which is 14.00, and you give you the mean, 14.17, give you the third quartile, and you give you the maximum. And I find it so useful. And then you see in the first row there are no figures, so it tells you that the class of the inputs in the first row are characters. They are letters. It's not figures that can be analyzed. So summaries is a very, very powerful, very, 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 very powerful function, and it's very useful if you want to analyze your data. Okay, so let's do our first data visualization, data visualization. There you go. Okay. Now, for data visualization in R, also I'm clearing the console, which is what? Control and L. For data visualization in R, ggplot2 is the best package, or it's one of the best packages in terms of data science. Globally, it's respected a lot. People even who don't use R actually respect it. So that is what I'll be taking you through, ggplot2. You have to actually go and find out about it and read a lot about it, because it's so important and it's very powerful. And I love to use ggplot2 a lot. People all over the world will tell you, or data scientists will tell you, that it is very, very important, or it's very, very useful when you want to do it. And then you find out yourself, by the time we're done with this session, you find out why I'm saying all of these things. So first of all, let's look at our data again. I love to look at our data. Now, let's run this. Now, what the first visualization I want to do is to look at the number of training sessions we have done in each month, and how many people were trained in each digital skill. So we are looking at a visualization that will show us the number of trainings done in each month and for each digital skill. I want a situation where you can just look at the visualization and you see it. So that is the aim. That is the aim we do have. That is what we want to achieve. So let's look at how best we can do this. It is very essential that we actually know what we are doing. Now, this is an online session, but usually I try to draw sketches before I start so that I know what I'm aiming at, and then let the visualization also portray something I wasn't even looking at portraying. So I propose a bar graph for this, right? Because I'm going to visualize. It's going to be categorical. So we're going to have a bar graph, a bar for January, one for May, and one for September. So I think I believe a bar graph. I mean, there are specifics, there are rules that you follow to choose visualizations or specific charts for your data. And I cannot go into that, and I cannot go into that and tell you why the bar graph is the best for this particular data. But once I am done, you would understand, especially one of the things you need to know about bar graphs that when it's a categorical data, when it shows that, let's say, the number of boys versus the number of girls, or let's say the number of people trained in January versus the number of people trained in May and September, bar graphs are actually very useful. So this is how you go about it. And with ggplot, it is called grammar of graphics, right? And so it follows a particular syntax. And once you know the syntax, you can go and do your own visualizations on your own. So this is it. First of all, you start by saying or typing ggplot, right? And then you see it. When you see this, you click the first one. So ggplot, and then there's a bracket opens for you. And then you type the data. So our data is ADSC 21. Now, we say we are looking at the number of people trained in specific months. So we have to determine what will be on our x-axis. Remember statistics, what will be on our x-axis and what will be on our y-axis. And so with that, you use aesthetics, right? AES, and another bracket to open. And so you type, first of all, we want our month to be on the x-axis, so month. One thing I need to remind you of or tell you is that R is very case sensitive. It is sensitive in every sense of the word. So you have to be very careful. If you miss a comma, you've missed it. If you miss a full stop, you've missed it. If you add another bracket when you're not supposed to add it, you've missed it. So you have to follow me carefully and then do as I do, right? So I want to see month against trainees. Trainees is the number of people trained in each session. So now we've written this, but we haven't said anything about the bar graph. So to do that, you come outside the bracket, and then you type plus, and you can choose to go on the same line, but I choose to go down just for clarity. So you come down and then you type geom underscore bar, and you press enter, and there you go. So we have this. This is saying that I want to visualize the month and the number of trainees trained in a month in the ADSC 21 data in a bar graph. Now with the bar graph, you type inside the bracket, you type STAT or start is equal to, then you bring your inverted commas and you type identity. Right? As you go on, I believe that some of these things are things that need further clarification and explanation, but we don't have much time because of the purpose of this session. So I'll just leave some of these things out and not go into detail because it may make us veer off a bit. So let's just leave it as it is. Start is equal to identity. And this is what we have. Now let's run it. So how do you run it? Control Enter, if you remember. I mean, with programming or coding, you have to remember most of the things. I know you can remember every single thing, but you have to make the conscious effort to remember most of the things so that when you're coding, you don't always have to refer to your notes or refer to Google or Stack Overflow, right? So Control Enter, right? And there we go. So we have our bars here. We have our bars. We have our bars here. We have our bars here. So we have January, May, September. Now, this is beautiful, isn't it? I mean, we are done, or we are not done, or there's so much more we can do to this, because if you write this and if you send this to anybody, the person will tell you that, what is going on here? What do you mean by January, May, September, and trainees? What do you mean? So there's so much more we can do to this. So this is the first layer of what we want to do. We wanted to visualize the data and actually portray the number of people trained per month and per course and per training schedule module, But that isn't what we've done here. So we have to go ahead and do our best to achieve that aim. Now, this is a bar graph. There are various kinds of bar graphs. There is a stacked bar graph and there's a group bar graph. Now, I'm going to take you through all three kinds of bar graphs. This is the first one, right? And then we'll select the best. I think the best is the group bar graph. And as I go on, I believe that you understand or you agree with me too. So first of all, what I want to see is I want to see data science. How many people were trained in data science in January? How many people were trained in social media management in May? How many people were trained in graphic designing in September? How do we do that? We can do that by coloring the bars according to specific data skills. So we'll color the bars and then we'll have what we call the stack bar graph. So how do you do that? So you come to aesthetics after trainees and then you type comma and then fill. Fill means fill the bars with this in color. And then with that, we type digital skills. We have this. Now let's run it. There you go. So we have our stacked bar graph. I mean, it's called stacked bar graph for obvious reasons. The bars are stacked. You can see that social media management is stacked on web design, and graphic design is stacked. Sorry, social media management is stacked on web design, and then graphic design is stacked on social media management, and data science is stacked on graphic designing. Now, I do not like this bar specifically because I'm not able to tell just by visually observing it which of the bars is bigger than which, so I know it looks like graphic designing is big in all 3 months, but it's not too clear for me. I mean, we can actually have an argument just by looking at this. So we want a situation where the data visualization must be as concise and as clear, and let your data be as vivid as possible. So I opt for a group bar graph. And how do you do a group bar graph with in R or in ggplot2? So you come to geom bar, because we are dealing with the bars now, and comma after the identity, type comma after the identity, and then you type position is equal to dodge. So you write it in inverted commas. You need to spell it, but remember R is very sensitive, right? Let's run this and you see what I'm talking about, right? So by running this, we can actually see clearly which is the longest bar, which is the shortest bar, which is the, we can see it so clearly now, right? And this is this is the end goal. However, we still need a lot more visual appeal. We have to make it more visual appealing, and we have to let it communicate to the end reader or the person who have the interactions with it, So let's go ahead and then add more features to it. Now, if I ask you, you can tell that data science is the pink color of the pink bar. Now you can see data science is tallest or longest in January, which means a lot more people were trained in data science in January than they were trained in May and than they were trained in September. But by how many people? So we need to put a label of the numbers on each of the bars. You get it? And that's very important in data analysis, that you actually communicate the actual data, not just a pictorial view or a representation of it. I mean, sometimes you can do that, but the best way is to almost always give the figures to your readers or people who will be interacting or engaging with the data or the data visualization, excuse me. Now, and then we need a title for the visualization. What is this visualization about? You could easily throw in any title and then it will fit in. So there's so much we can do to this to enhance it, to make it come out more beautiful. So let's start with that. Right now, another thing is I really don't like these colors. These are automatic colors that come with R. So these are automatic. R gives it to you. So let's start by changing the colors of the bars. Now, R has a plethora of colors. All you have to do is just type colors. All right, and then just run it. So colors into bracket and just run it. Click enter when you're in the console and control enter when you're in the editor. See the number of colors our has on display or available. There you go. So about 655 or more than that. Sorry, 650. Now we would have to choose just 4 of them to do this visualization. I mean, I won't go into that. I'll just choose some at random. So we would like to change the color, and with everything it's step by step. It's a gradual thing. So to move to the next line of code, you press or you type plus and then go to the next line. We want to change the color, so you type in scale underscore fill underscore manual. Means we are doing it manually. Fill manual, and then you type in Right, you type in values equal to C, and then you open a bracket, right? You open a bracket. So here we have it. Now we can type in the colors we want, right? So I choose steel blue. The next color should be red, right? And then the next color should be green. There are different greens, so you can choose different shades of green. So I choose green 4. I use that a lot, green 4. The last color should be gray. Now, these are our 4 colors that we want to use for the bars. So when you run this, so Control Enter, or sometimes you can just use this button. There you go. So honestly, these are the combination of colors I like. You can choose the colors that you like too, but these are the combination of colors I like. Right? And so since we've changed the colors, another thing we can change is the theme. So if you look closely, you see that there's a gray shade at the background. I don't like that usually. So I always change it. Change the theme, so you bring a plus, and go down and type theme. So many themes you can choose from. I often choose the black and white, the BW. So when you run this, you have this, and I like this theme a lot. Now we are moving gradually. Now we want to label the bars, right? We want to label the bars. So we type geom_text, right? AES, aesthetics, and you open the brackets. Then you type label. Now, what are we labeling the bars with? We are labeling them with the number of trainees. So you bring in the trainees, right? And you move outside of the bracket, and then you type what should be the size of the label. Size is equal to, let's say, 5. Now, everything in R is coded. Like, I mean, especially with visualization, even if you see a comma, it had to be coded. So don't expect the machine or the studio to just present you with an already made visualization. You have to literally code every single thing. So size is 5 and comma. Now we want to for the labels to be on each bar respectively, we have to use a certain we have to adjust it. So in this case, you are adjusting it vertically because the bars are vertical, they are upright. So to do that, you type in vjust equal to, let's say, -2. Now let's run this. Wow. Now you notice that the bars have been arranged in a vertical order, but they haven't been placed on each of the bars. So because there's a group bar graph. So what you do in the group bar graphs is that you go ahead and then you type position equal to position and position dodge and 0.9, right? So this is how you actually allow this particular, the position is equal to position dodge. It's supposed to allow the numbers to be labeled on each bar or to be placed on each bar. So when we run this, you see that we've actually achieved that. So let's run this, Control Enter. There you go. Now the numbers are on each bar, but they seem to be hanging. So let's change it. Let's bring it to, you see when you come to VJAS, I made it -2. Usually when you make it negative, it goes outside the bar. When you make it positive, it comes inside the bar. So let's make it positive. So let's take away the negative, run this, Control Enter. There you go. So I prefer this, honestly. In all honesty, I prefer this. So now I can tell you that when it comes to graphic design, in which is the red bar, 20 people were trained in May and 18 people were trained in January. You know, so you can actually see this and actually see the numbers and actually speak to it. Right? I honestly prefer this. Okay. Now let's go on. Now let's add a title. So plus, to add a title, use a GG title. There you go. And then you just open up, just use the inverted commas and type in the title. So the title is number of trainees okay, let's say digital skills training project underscore trainees. I mean, just for the purpose of demonstration. So when we run this, now our visualization is 95% done. So we have a title, we've labeled it, we have a legend, we have all of these things going on. So we can just go ahead and use it. But sometimes let me zoom in. This zoom function opens up the visualization so you can see it more extensively or more clearly. So let me show you how it works. So I'm sharing the zooms, right? So when you click on zoom, it appears this way. So this is our visualization. It looks very nice. Yeah, so we are, as I said, we are 95% done. That is according to me. I mean, you could actually leave it like this, but I usually like to go the extra mile of working on themes. So as you can see, the axis titles, the way you see them January, May, September month, trainees, even a legend, and all these things are quite faint. Their font is faint. So to make it clearer, I'll run these series of codes, lines of code, and then to work on that. So plus, again, come down and you type theme, right? We are working on the theme, and then you write axis title, axis.title, yeah, and element, element text, right? And then you go in, now you can type in what you want to work on. So you want to work on the size. So I want the size to be increased to, let's say, about 12, and I want the color to be black. And I want the face to be bold. So the face being bold means that the font will be in bold. Right? Come down, and then we can do axis text. Give me a minute. Give me a second, actually. First of all, let's run this. Let's see if it takes effect. Right. As you can see, I told you that R is very sensitive. Now, we have an error message here because I didn't put the black in inverted commas. So I have to do that. As you can see the trainees and month have been deepened. They have become bolder. The color is black. If we change the color to, let's say, change the color to blue or red, it would appear as such. That's the axis title. And we are going to work on the axis text, right? So with that, we type comma here. Type a comma, and go ahead, and then we type axis text. Then elements, text, size. Let's make that 10. Color. I mean, for the purpose of demonstration, let me just change the color. Let's make it red. Let's make it face. Go to bold. Run it and see. No method for merging. Fine. Right, I think it should have been outside the. So as you can see, it took effect. Now we have red. Red. I just did that for demonstration purposes. Now let me change it back to black. Okay, red. Black here. And then what else can we change? So much we can do to this. Also work on the title, so we can go to title, plots, title, elements, text, size, color. Didn't put black and when we run this, there you go. You can tell that the title is bigger and it's actually bolder. So that with this, we can actually call it. We are done. Visualization we are doing. So I want to show you the final work. So I appreciate it. This is the final work. So I think that's appreciable now. And it's something that you can insert in that you're doing. Right. So, I mean, that is our first visualization. I mean, there's a few things you can do here and there. I mean, I could actually go ahead and do a few more things so that it becomes, I'm just trying to show you that like, there's so much more you can do. I mean, if we wanted to work on the legend, we also class, we go down and theme and do legend title. If you don't want any legend title, you can type element blank, so there will be no legend title. Come down and legend text. Change that also. Let's make that legend text. You got that is, I mean, the text in the legend that is up there that you can see. So with that as well, you can change the elements in there. So we can go ahead and do elements, right? Just as we did for the rest. And size, let's make it 10. And arc. Okay. Now we can go to legend position, right? Legend position. We want the legend to be under the title, so we can type top. If we want it to be below the visualization, you can use bottom, right, left. You can just play around with these things. So I think that I just wanted to demonstrate so that you can see what we can do, what is possible, how best we can actually enhance your visualization. So let's run this, right? We have no error message. And let me zoom in, share my Zoom in screen. There you go. So this is our final product, final visualization. So we have digital skills training project trainees, or the number of trainees. I can literally change the title right now. We have engineering, we have still blue representing data science, red representing graphic designing, green representing social media management, and gray representing web designing. And as you can see, when you look across the visualization, you can actually appreciate what it is we've done so far. So first, congratulations, you just created your first R or bar graph or group bar graph in R. Okay. Now let's move on to the next visualization that I wanted us to do. Let me write the title here properly, data visualization. So our next visualization, I want us to visualize the scheduled dates that we intended to do the project or the training sessions against the delayed dates. So let's say we scheduled to do data science training on the 25th, but we ended up doing it on the 27th. How do we visualize this and then communicate it? All right, sorry about that. There was a bit of a power cut here. So I was talking about us visualizing the scheduled date against the delayed dates. And we are going to use a visualization called Cleveland dot plot, right? Cleveland dot plot. And with the Cleveland dot plot, it is a combination of dots and then line graph. So it's like two dots and then there's a line in the middle. So some people actually call it a dumbbell plot, right? But we are calling it the Cleveland dot plot. So let's call it a Cleveland. We are visualizing the Cleveland dot plot. Cleveland dot plot. I mean, some of the elements of data visualization have already been explained in the first one, so I'll probably just go faster in this one so that we run faster and have time for questions. You can ask me questions at the end of the session, okay? And so that I'll be available to respond to them. Thank you very much. So as you know, we start visualizing data in ggplot2 with ggplots, okay? And then you call the data ADSC, isn't it? Now that is how we visualize data in ggplot2. But we are coming to do something quite interesting. I want to introduce you to a certain concept in R called should I call it data transformation or data manipulation, or there's a number of terms you can use for that. Now we are transforming the data, or we are resizing the data, or slicing and dicing the data. I mean that is what some people call it. So we are about to do a visualization that requires that we actually change the frame of the data, the form of the data, and that is what we would like to do. And so I'll just run you through it briefly and see if let's see if you can all get it. Now, this is our current data. Let me run it. And so we want to combine the scheduled dates and delayed dates and put them in one long column and have another column called dates, right? And then that would give us the opportunity to do what we want to do. So it is very important that we do that, right? And then we're going to use a function in tidyr called gather. Tidyr is also one of the packages under tidydays. So that is what we are going to do. So we are gathering scheduled dates. So let's bring our data. Gathering of scheduled dates. Scheduled dates. Scheduled dates. And delayed dates. We are gathering them under one column, and we will call that column dates, right? So key is equal to dates. And then the numbers, the various dates themselves, the numbers of the days, right? We call that days. We value is equal to days. You can see this. This is what I was talking about. So now I've transformed the data, right? And now it has a column called date, and in that column we have scheduled dates and delayed dates, all just written out in one column. And then the actual days, or the dates, or the 11th, 12th, and 13th have been put in another column called days. That is what we've done here. Now that is what we are doing to be able to achieve our purpose. So what we've done is that we've created a new data set, right? So let's name this let's name this ADSC new. Now how you do is to use an assign function, or to use a assign symbol. And this symbol is an arrow pointing to the left. It means that everything that's happening on the right side of the symbol should be transferred to the left. Okay, so that is what we are working on. So we'll give the new data set a new name. So ADSC, let's call it new, right? So when we run this, you don't see anything because now everything has been transferred to ADSC new. So when I type ADSC new, we have our new data set here. And now this is the data set we'll be visualizing. Okay, this is the data set we will be visualizing. So, I mean, let me keep it there anyway. Now, so we're about to visualize. So we type ggplots, right? Open, and what's the new data set? ADSC new. And AES, like remember aesthetics. Now, which portion of the data of the how do you call it of this particular new data are we visualizing? We are visualizing digital skills, right? Digital skills and the days. That's what we want to see. We want to see digital skills and the days. So we type. Let me just copy from digital skills. Our y-axis is the days. The numbers, right? So we want to see the number of days, the number of the dates, like the days on which these digital skills were done, right? And then we'll be using a dot, we'll be using a scatter plot of sort. So geom_point. So let's run this and see what happens. This is what we have. We have data science and we have about 6 or 5 dots up in there, and we have all the data skills. We have dots. Now we want to see, and you should know that each of these dots represents a specific date, right? So we want to see which of the dates were scheduled and which of them were delayed dates. So let's type, you come back to the aesthetics, right? And you, right after days, you type comma and then color. We are coloring the dots by dates. I hope you understand that, right? So when you run this, you have scheduled dates and delay dates. It still probably doesn't make sense. Now we want to flip around, like it's not too clear because as you can see, some of the text have jammed up on the x-axis, right? So we want to flip this around so that we can actually have a look at it more clearly. Sometimes you have a visualization, but you want to flip it around. You want to make the y-axis and the y the x-axis. So you type after the point, you type plus, come down, and then coordinate, because we are flipping the coordinates, right? Coordinate flip, and you run this, you have this. So what we do have is web designing, social media management, graphic designing, and data science. So you see the data skills on the left, and you see the days on which they were done, right? On the as represented as dots. So we have 3 dots for each. I mean, some of them are overlapping, so you may not see all 3. So that here we go. Now, again, there's so many things we can do to this, right? Just like we did for the bar graph. What I want to see is I really don't like the color, the 2 colors, so we could change them. So let's change them by using scale, color, manual, right? A type. Remember we did it for the first one, values. Or to see. Now I want us to use red for the delayed dates, and red for the delayed dates, and green for the scheduled dates. Now let's run this. Excuse me. Control Enter. There you go. Now, I mean, the dots also are very small. So we come to geom point, right? And type size is equal to, let's say, 6. Let's make it 4. That's one thing I like about programming. You can always just change, like when you I mean, you can just try your hands at things until they actually fit what you want to achieve. So we have we've changed the color of the scheduled dates and then the delay dates. Now, what do we want to see? I want to see the training sessions that were delayed in each month and by how many days were delayed, right? So we have to divide this visualization so you can see January, May, and September. Now, the way to do that is to use facet wrap. Facet wrap is one of the commands we're using in ggplot, right? It just breaks down the data for you into mini data visualizations under one name. So right now we are going to have January's visualization, May's visualization, and then September's visualization, and all on one sheet or all on one presentation. So I honestly really like using facet wrap, right? So when you type plus, you come down and you type facet, you see facet gray, facet now, and you use facet wrap. Now, how are we going to divide the visualization? By months. So you type in tilde, right? Tilde is next to 1. Right, shift, and then the button that comes before 1, and then you type in months. When you run this, see what I was talking about. Now we have our visualization broken down. Okay, it's been broken down, and we have May, January, May, and September. Now let's keep going. Plus, now let's add the line graph. So to add the line graph, you type geom underscore line, type group, right? We are trying to create a line that will link the individual dots, right? So we go to aesthetics, type aesthetics first. Aesthetics. See that, equal to. At the end of the day, the length of the line is what will show you how long it is that it took us to actually do what we wanted to do. We scheduled to do it on this date, but we ended up doing it on another date. So it's the length of the line that will show that it took you a very long time to achieve it. So we are grouping it by digital skills. Let's copy it from here. Digital skills. And let's make the color gray. Sorry, let's make the color gray. And the size, let's make it 3. Let's run this and see. There you go. So you see there's a gray line linking the dots, but I think the line is too thick. So let's make it 2. Let's make it 2. You see it? Yeah. There's a gray line linking the 2 dots. And that is honestly what I wanted to achieve. Now, it's not too clear here. I will zoom in later for us to have a look at it so that we can understand it. Now, as I often like to do, I like to change the theme. So the theme is BW, black and white. Run this. It's clearer now. And then what else do? We add a title to it. So title, GG title, right? And type scheduled dates. Digital skills. Training project. This. We have this, right? Now, we can actually work on right now. Let's add let's put the actual dates on each of the dots, right? So geom text is, let's label the dots. Label is equal to is just equal to 2. Size is okay. Run this. Top. Very good. Let me zoom in and see how it looks. Sometimes you need to actually have a better view of it. Yeah, exactly how I wanted it. I mean, eventually I'll share it with you so you see. Yeah, so there it is. Right now, to actually do all the things about the themes and then the axis and all of that, we can just copy from here. Sometimes you can just write this set of codes down and you can just use them for various visualization. From here, and just come and paste it here. And the theme, the plot title, the axis titles, and all of that. I really love this visualization. Let me share it with you. So there we go. So this is what I wanted to achieve. I wanted a situation where you can tell that the event was supposed to have taken place. Web designing in January, we were supposed to have done it on the 14th of January. We ended up doing it on the 27th. Social media, we're supposed to do it on the 12th. We ended up doing it on the 25th. Graphic designing training, we're supposed to do it on the 13th. We ended up doing it on the 26th. Same for data science, we're supposed to do it on the 11th. We ended up doing it on the 22nd. And it goes on like that. So as you can see that the bars or the lines for the lines are longer in September than in all the months. It means that we delayed a lot in September than the previous 2 months. Okay. The visualization is here. It's still not as I would want it. So I will just go ahead and then change a few things. Let me make the dots a bit bigger. So we just go up and let's make it 5. Let me reduce the size of the lines. So I look for lines. So let's make it 1 thing, but then that's what we want to achieve. Yes, the size of the font. Let's make it 5. So it's clearer. Yeah. Let's increase them by 1, 2, 17. Let's run this and see how it looks. Then I'm going to zoom in, so you can also have a look. Yeah. So as you can see, so this is exactly what I wanted to achieve. If we can actually make the line black as well. So let's do that. Let me try that and see if it works. The line black. Yes. So I mean, this is exactly what I wanted to achieve. So that there's a line um, um, indicating the length or the number of days that we actually not wasted, but maybe it took us to actually achieve the targets of this project. Now, somebody may be asking, how do you download a visualization? How do you use it in a report? So you have to first, if it was online, you would have downloaded it, but now it is in a studio. It sits on your computer, on your desktop. So how do you get it? So that's what I'm going to teach you next, and that will be the end of the session. So you come to the top of the plot and you click export, and click on save, right? And then you choose where to save it to. I'll choose my desktop. And I'll name it ADSC is this. Right now, it has all been crammed up, so you have to widen it. Yeah. And yeah, there you go. And you can actually do it directly from here. So I'm making the width 900, and I'm making the height 700. The moment you click on save, it goes to your computer directly. Let me make the height 750. You can do the same for the bar graph, the group bar graph that we did initially. So this is the visualization. Let me share from my screen so you can see it. So this is it.